Hello, I'm Christian, and welcome to the Jamoir Leadership Podcast, a show where we talk about effective collaboration, influence, and leadership in an increasingly complex world. My interview partner is Dr. Dirk Schlimm. Dirk is an international leadership expert and the author of Influencing Powerful People. The purpose of this podcast is to share ideas and stimulate discussion, and it does not constitute professional advice of any kind. If such advice is needed, the services of a competent professional should be sought. The speakers, host, and Jamoir International Incorporated are not to be held responsible for any use, misuse, or reuse of the content. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Jamoir Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by our leadership expert, Dr. Dirk Schlimm. Today, we're very excited to be diving into the world of leadership, workplace transformation, and the future of work with a truly extraordinary guest. That's right, this is another two-part guest interview series, and today, we are thrilled to welcome onto the channel Alejandra Martinez Boluda, who joins us from Madrid, Spain. Alejandra is a lawyer, an innovator, an educator, a change agent, an expert in business transformation, and so much more. The list truly goes on. But let's dive in right now. Part one of a two-part interview series. Alejandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm delighted to be with you.
And we are delighted to have you. This has been our joy to put together. We're looking forward to this conversation. But as always, before we get into the many questions we have, Alejandra, we would so appreciate it if you share your story with our audience, who you are, where you come from, and what you do, please.
Okay. Well, I'm Alejandra. I'm from Spain. I was born in Valencia, so I'm a Mediterranean animal. I studied in a French school and I lived abroad quite young. So I have always this curiosity for other places and other cultures. That has been so in my life. I studied law at the first time because I really had a sense of justice. I wanted to change the world. I remember that my brother used to tell me, don't study law if you want to change the world. I did study law. And then I completed also my studies with a master's degree on international and European law because I wanted to go abroad. I wanted to work in a European institution. And so I did for a while and created a cooperation program with the countries from the European Union and also from the south of the Mediterranean. And it was there that I understood the importance of creating a consensus out of a dialogue between people from different cultures in subjects that were so challenging, like counterterrorism, like things related to law, international law. So after this, I started at BICG, which is the company that I'm leading. I'm managing director at BICG, which is a company dedicated to transforming the way we work. We belong to a research institute in Germany, which is the Fraunhofer Institute that is located in Stuttgart. I don't know if you know this applied research institute, but it's very famous in Europe, and it's a great example of cooperation, public and private. So it's a good example, and it's very much linked to the industry. So what we do is they research on how the evolution of work in our organizations is going to be. So now I'm leading the practice at the BICG of transformation and change management. And what we do is we try to create work ecosystems in different companies of different sectors in order to evolve the way we work.
Very nice. Alejandra, thank you so much for sharing. That is a great way to summarize an amazing story, it sounds like. And I know our audience always appreciates hearing how it starts and where it brought you to today. It sounds like lots of conversations and, of course, lots of travel and education. So that is wonderful context, and I'm sure our audience appreciates that. So thank you truly for sharing. And I think from there, Dirk and I always emphasize that we have an international audience. So where some people are familiar with some cities and countries, other people might not be. So we know you're in Madrid right now, and of course in Spain, and that's a big part of your history, but beyond there. But maybe you could just give us a bit of context right now. You're in Madrid. It's known for its rich culture and vibrant way of life, and we love that. But maybe you could just bridge the gap there between the city and what you do. How is living in such an environment, and perhaps your time in history, personal history in Spain, how has that shaped your approach to leadership and workplace transformation?
Well, I have lived in different cities across Europe, so I can compare.
Mm.
And it's true that at BICG, I'm leading also the European market with France, the Netherlands, but also Germany, and obviously Spain and Portugal. And it's true that Madrid, it's a quite an amazing city, because it combines innovation from one side, but also this traditional part. I like especially Madrid, as well as I lived in Brussels for a long time as well. And I like for a reason, because it's a city, it's a place that does not belong to anyone. Mm. That means you hardly meet a person that has been born in Madrid. And this was a little bit the case in Belgium and in Brussels as well. So I really like those cities that really nobody is truly from here. Mm. We all feel from Madrid, no? And it's like an amazing melting pot of different cultures, and in a quite harmonic way, no? So living in Madrid, a city that thrives on creativity, history, and dynamic way of life, is extremely interesting when we try to apply also this ecosystem in the organizations. Mm-hmm. It is true that I would say that it has evolved a lot. Madrid and the organizations and the companies in Madrid have evolved a lot from a traditional I would say, way of working to a more innovative way of working, and very much focus on innovation and creativity. Today, Madrid is a place of collaboration, a meeting point of a lot of companies. And as you know, Spanish people do not know about loneliness. It's true that it's something that is extremely important for our well-being, but Spanish people, we are social animals, no? And with hunger of purpose and connection. And therefore, the work environment is a place of connecting. We need these places to connect with each other. And this is the mix of cultures.
Yeah, no, Alejandra, that's amazing. And there seems to be a theme that Dirk and I are picking up on, and it comes out so clearly in your answer, how geography, history, but especially culture, how that can really shape a workplace and the relationships you form and the objectives you have. And of course, how you bridge those things from the relationships to the objectives. So thank you again for sharing that. I'm sure there's a lot in our audience. Hopefully now they can perhaps think in their context, how their culture and just the realities of a city, as you were saying, that's interesting to think about in Madrid, where no one's from there, but then in a way you're all from there, and that's a place of unity, but bringing new ideas and conversations. So again, thank you for sharing that. Dirk, if you don't mind, I'll ask a few more questions today. I don't always do that, but Dirk, don't worry, we will tag you in at different points, but I'm really excited for the next question that we have, because I think it truly does relate to what a lot of people are perhaps thinking about or going through right now. And as we were going over what we might talk about today, the back to office dilemma came up. That is a big one. So the question we have, and I'll frame it a little bit, is that the back to office dilemma is perhaps a debate that has become a hot topic, and we described it as a global hot topic. So Alejandra, I'll start with you, then Dirk, you can jump in if you have anything to add. But Alejandra, what do you see as the key factors organizations should consider when determining the right balance between in office, remote, and hybrid work?
Well, the return to office debate is not just about physical spaces. We all agree that it's about redefining the purpose of coming together. In the several studies that we have done at BICG, the main motivation to come to the office is because you're going to work with other people, because you're going to exchange with others. So organizations must consider three key factors, in my opinion, that are extremely important. From one side, the experience that you want to create. From the other, also the productivity. Obviously, if you come to the office, it's because you find this productivity. If you work at home, it's because you have also this productivity, but also the cultural cohesion. So hybrid work, and I think it's not a compromise. For me, it's an opportunity to redesign how and where we work to maximize engagement, creativity, and efficiency. So there is a little bit of a battle of data, no? We have people that have data to say that it's better to work at the office, people that have data to say that it's better to work at home. I really think that it's a combination of both. And in my opinion, the debate is misguided because technology has already disconnected us from a physical space and even from the time that we work. No? Now we have a lot of opportunities that we can consider in order to adapt the way we work to our needs. So the real question is not about where you work. The real question goes beyond this. It's about having the right leadership, have a purposeful action, have a purpose in our organization, an effective teamwork, having a good relationship, and having this synchronized work when we are at the office. A systemic collaboration. This is the right things that we should tackle. We need teams and we need to have shared objectives. We need these teams to work together, and we need to find out what is the best place to do our work. The office should be this gravity point that allow us to be together in order to exchange, in order to work. But there are certain things that we can perfectly well do them at home. So it's not against or in favor. I think that the solution is a hybrid work where you have to tackle the difficult part, which is to do the change management and to work in a different way. So I think that the debate sometimes is misguided. No, it's in the wrong place.
Right. No, that's interesting to think about, maybe reframing some of the conversation. And I like the terms that you brought up and thinking about both creativity and productivity. And we have different points of data that we need to bring into conversation. And of course, dealing with real people and being aware of working as a team, that's a lot to think about. So Dirk, why don't I ask you, jump in here, any ideas or any response you want to share here?
Yeah, so first of all, welcome, Alejandra, from me also. You can never, ever have too many lawyers on a podcast. So it's fantastic to have you here with us this morning. And to me, the back to office, this is one of the things that anybody who's working anywhere is an expert, an instant expert, because people go by their own experiences. And the way I like to look at it, I had a very, very busy day in an office just yesterday. Nothing like, I call it nothing like the last 20 minutes, right? And met so many people, but I would never sit there and do emails. And so to me, the pandemic has really changed how we work because it has accelerated this kind of online work. And I think the best comparison to me is like the rubber band where it was expanded and now it's snapping back. The pandemic's over, but it's not snapping back to where it was, where people have really looked at work more intentionally. Look at us this morning, right? So, well, it's not morning for us, but we can start early here to get international guests on our podcast because Christian and I are in the home office this morning, and I'm glad I didn't have to drive somewhere downtown Toronto, at the crack of dawn to have our amazing guest from Madrid, so that you can see that. On the other hand, as I said, just the example yesterday, you you talk to people impromptu, and I think it's then more, hey, if I go to the office now, I want to do office stuff, right? And people have these telephone booths now. And if I go to an office and I sit the whole day in a telephone booth, I might as well stay at home. Or if I stare at my computer all day, I could have done that at home. So it's okay, maximize the time now, use it for interaction, and then you do something else in another way. And then it's context driven on the industry, what it is that you do. And so many factors come in, and so we're going to stop here because we could go on and on and on. So Christian, thank you for bringing me into the conversation and back to you here as a host.
Thank you, Dirk, and I'm glad, of course, always to bring you in. We love hearing your voice, but Alejandra, this has been already interesting. Just hearing the ways that you're thinking about things, and Dirk, I think you added some a personal example there that especially in the winter, driving in Toronto down to an office just to do something you could have done at home. I think that might land for a lot of us here right now, recording when we're recording. But Alejandra, I want to bring it back to you. You brought up leadership in that conversation and the essential role it plays. So maybe we could just think more about that and thinking about just how you described your journey and what you're doing now. And the theme we were thinking about is modern leadership in a changing world. And let's get your perspective on what truly matters in leadership today. So just thinking about our leaders or leadership in general, are there specific qualities or skills that you think that leaders must prioritize to navigate the complexities of modern organizations?
Yes, I think that leadership is such a important and a crucial topic today, because it's really the world is changing so much and so quickly that we really need leaders that embrace this uncertainty, which is the unique reality that we have today. We don't know what it will happen in the future, but we do know that it will change a lot. So I think that leaders today must embrace this uncertainty and lead with three things: clarity, empathy, and adaptability. These are three things. There are others, but obviously the ability also to communicate, a vision to your team, and to be open to this change. Leaders, in a way, must foster this trust, and this word is especially important in a world with such uncertainty and with a dispersed team, because today our teams are not all the time in the same place. So this trust is absolutely crucial for the leaders today. In addition to this, I think that there are another topic that I face a lot when I'm working with leaders is that a leader must empower diverse teams. And this diversity goes beyond, diverse opinions between the team, and try to create a dialogue with this diversity. No, I think it's extremely important. The leaders are no longer controllers; they are facilitators, and the role of a leader is to facilitate the work of the team. I would like to pay a special attention to the middle management, which in all the projects that we lead on cultural transformation, I think that they play a critical role in changing the company culture. I think that the top management, okay, we work a lot with them, and they have this vision, they have these abilities, but with the middle management, we need to spend a lot of time, because they face immense pressure. No, they have pressure from a lot of sides. No, from one, they are caught between the top management, the clients, the teams, and they are often burdened with bureaucratic processes. So they are really the key part of an organization. We must focus on supporting this group as they are key drivers of the employee satisfaction and the cultural cohesion. In a way, this middle management is like the culture speaker. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are going to to be the ones telling what is the culture behind the company, the ones that work with the team, the ones that have the pressure with the top management, no? So in a way, I think that we need to have, we need to balance, in any case, two key aspects, which is providing direction and aligning the team, but also while fostering autonomy. These two things must be always in the balance of the leaders.
Right. No, that's fascinating to think about. And there's so much there. And before I jump in with any thoughts here, Dirk, why don't I ask you for a response to that?
Yeah, I think Alejandra has mentioned some things that I also consider very, very important, and I just maybe want to put a different perspective on it. So Alejandra, you talked about trust, and I think trust is so important, and we want to trust people. But then, as a person working for somebody, I must be trustworthy, and so it's like a two-way street. So if we go back to the office. I think one of the not so good reasons why I want people back in the office, because I want to control them. I want to see that they're working. And yes, if I have people working for me who are not disciplined, who are not trustworthy, maybe I need that. And so I think for the people who are looking for more freedom and saying, oh, why are you asking me back to the office? It has to be absolutely clear. You can't even start talking if there's any concern from my boss that I might be at home or want to be at home because I'm not disciplined, and I think I don't want to work hard. That is a very bad reason why you want to be at home. And so you always have that tension between some discipline is needed. Yes, you also want freedom, but then you have to earn that freedom. And then Alejandra mentioned middle management. No, we don't want bureaucracy, but we still need some rules also. And so there's always the tension. And so this is the Jim Collins called it the tyranny of the and, right? Where I have like I want short-term results and long-term thinking, and I want discipline and creativity, and I want quality, and I want agility, and all these things, are in tension, and it makes it messy. And as a middle manager, I'm literally, as the word says, in the middle of all of this. So Alejandra, if you can help those people do a better job, this is absolutely fantastic, because it is just so messy and contradictory, and you have the stress of the business on top of it. And I think this is where, if I look at it now from a senior leadership perspective, this is where truly you need to empower those middle managers, and sometimes you have to have their back. I mean, this is a tough job, and I think it's one of the least recognized job. As you said, kind of top management says, you got to tell people this, right? And your people say, you're going to tell management that, and you have these expectations that storm in. So we should have a separate session on middle management. Yeah. I'm going to shut up now. Christian, back to you here.
Yeah, no, I think a separate session that we'll have to revisit this topic again, because there's so much there to unpack. And I really picked up on that. Just the framing, I'm always interested in that, controller versus facilitator, and the differences there. A lot of nuance just in the way you perceive people and their objectives and the roles. So lots to think about there. But you know what, Dirk? I've been asking a few questions. Maybe I can hand it to you for a couple, Dirk. I know you had some things you wanted to talk about. So Dirk, why don't you take the lead here with the questions for a bit with Alejandra? Then you can give it back to me in a couple. How about that?
Yeah, I'll do that. So, Christian, one of the things that I love is obviously learning from people. And sometimes they really use words where I'm saying, wow, that's a great term. I'm going to use that now going forward. I do that quite a bit because sometimes people have a great way of doing something. I was at a seminar actually downtown Toronto and was facilitating a seminar there. And the host of that seminar talked about senior people who are maybe didn't meet the expectation, and he had the word titular sophistication, and what he meant is this person has a grand title and was really disappointed with them. A titular sophistication. I thought, wow, what a great word! I'm going to use it now. I just did. Right? And so here's something. And so when it comes to your word, I learned the term liquid real estate. I said, wow, this is one of those things, liquid real estate, right? And the flow framework, and it's a flow, flexibility, learning, openness, well-being, and it's such a great thing. So explain what liquid real estate is, and there's probably a new market maybe that people are trying to to get into the liquid real estate market, but I think it means something else. So why don't you tell us about that concept?
Yes, thank you. We also like these concepts, these terms, and we do a lot of research on how the work environment will evolve in the future. So liquid real estate is about matching supply with demand. What is supply and what is demand? Okay, the supply is the available space that we have, and the demand is the needs of the employees. Not only the employees, also the stakeholders of a company that are going to use also this space. So how can we make something that is rigid, it cannot move? You have the Acropolis in Athens that is still there because the space is unmovable. You cannot really make it flexible unless you use it in a different way. And that's when reality and the space is rigid. And on the other hand, you have such a flexibility in the way we work today, mainly because we do a lot of activities, different activities. We use our office in different ways. How can we manage this in a flexible way? So we have developed this system, and what we do with liquid real estate, and we have developed also the technology in order to find this flexibility, is to adapt the offer and the supply in a, I would say, in a very fast way. So why do you have to have a place where you go in your office every morning and you sit in the same place? Why don't you planify what you're going to do, and then the supply of the space will adapt to your needs and not the other way around? And through technology, what you will do is how you're going to planify this, who you're going to encounter, you're going to meet in the office, with whom you're going to work. Why do you have to always work with the same department or service line? It will depend of your activities. Sometimes you will go to your center of excellence and you will work with your service line, but another day you will work with a transversal team on a sectorial, in a sector, or on a client, and you don't need to have a space dedicated. You need to use the space upon your need, and the technology that we have developed will help you to use the space in a flexible way. And imagine that you have certain days that the space is not used. You can use it for other things. For example, for creating an event with other companies, to have a training course with. So we want this liquid real estate will allow us to be flexible and to use the space in a flexible way. And it will be under 4 pillars that we have developed, which is this flow, no? Liquid and flow. It's all something, that it's easy and is seamless, a little bit seamless, no? So this flow, in a way, will show us what are the different pillars that you have in a work environment. From one side, you have the flexibility that I have already talked about it. You don't need to be located every time you go to the office in the same place. You can choose depending on what you're going to do in the office. But also, the work environment should be a place where you learn. And this is extremely important. You should have a stimulating ecosystem that will allow you to learn from others, to learn from your boss, to learn also in the formal learning, to have like training courses that are available for you. And this learning part is absolutely important if you want to have a fruitful ecosystem and you want to have your people there. Another thing is the openness. I think that companies have, beyond their economical results, they have, I would say, go with society. It's not only the public institutions that will lead this role. The companies need to have a role also in society, and the borders between companies and society should be less clear. So why don't you create a place where your clients come because they learn different things? Why don't you create a work environment where you have exhibitions about things going on and about conversations that you like to have with other partners that are, that come from other stakeholders from your business. And this openness is a responsibility also of the companies. And last but not least, you have the well-being. The well-being, how are you going to create a work experience that allow people to be not only better professional, but better persons, better people? So how are you going to create a sustainable environment where you have a holistic approach in this well-being? How are you going to create this environment where people would like to go because they find this work-life balance, because they are not only employees, but they are also citizens and they have time to dedicate to other things? So this well-being is also one of the pillars of this work environment that we want to generate. But the first thing is, if you want these 4 pillars to be involved in your work environment, you need it to be flexible, to be liquid. You need to use it according to your needs and not the other way around. No? So this is the concept of liquid real estate, which is pretty much attached to a technological solution that we have developed at BICG. But in a way, the philosophy is, let's make the space as flexible as possible with the use and with the technology.
Yeah, excellent. Alejandra, Krishna, you get the next question after this, but I get a comment right now.
Yes.
So just a few things you said there. Again, nothing like the last 20 minutes. So I was making a presentation yesterday, and there were people attending in the room, and so a few people in the room, and then obviously people online, not because they were necessarily working from home, but they were calling in from other offices, and in this case it was here and in Europe, and so we had a mixed audience. But a simple innovation, the person who was running it did a great job. Just had the camera not at the end of the room where it normally is, but at the other end. So while I was speaking to the audience in the room, I was looking also into the camera, into the people who are online. And maybe it's a small thing, but normally it's not optimized for this. And so in this case, it was a simple, well, you have to have the idea. So when I saw it, it's obvious, but otherwise you don't do it. And so I can see just a small example. If you have technologies that facilitate that, can make a huge difference. The other just quick comment, I think you mentioned something very important there, Alejandra, the view of team, who's my team? And so we use this term sometimes, the inside-outside team, right? That I'm saying, hey, these are the people in the company, but then depending on what it is, so I know this, you're the lawyer from my legal team is the lawyers in the company, but then I have specialists outside, but I want these people to be integrated. And if I have law firm A, and from a different thing, I have law firm B, I don't, you guys want you to compete. I just bring experts from different firms, and please all behave as one team, and don't think of this person as your competitor. And so this team approach that you mentioned, and facilitating and supporting that, is huge. So,
and this team approach is I think is extremely important, no, in the work environment, because I think that the way we measure the working model is through teams, because it's the way the relationship with the others, the systemic reality that we have. But there, I would say that the big issue is how do you collaborate with other teams that are not your functional team. The functional team is quite easy, you work with them. But I would say that the challenge comes when you have to collaborate with others, when you have to develop this transversal conversation with others. And that's why when we created this liquid real estate, in a way, is why do you have to choose only one thing? Your reality is diverse. So sometimes you need to be with the other layers of your team, but other times you need to be with the sector where you are developing the solution. And this should be seamless. This should be something that you do without even not paying attention. But at the end, sometimes the organizations are organized in a very rigid way. No, and you have your team, you are there, you go each morning to the same place. No, it depends on the activities and with whom you need to work. And that's why when I'm talking about technology, is because we have developed an application that is called High Teams. And with High Teams, what you do is planify your week. And so you invite the people with whom you want to work, and then the application will show you the space that is most suitable for you to work for this day. No, and your activity will change during the week, and this will allow you to choose the adequate resources, in this case the space, for the activity that you want to develop.
Wow, that is an amazing conversation. And I'm realizing, Alejandra and Dirk, as we're talking about this, we could have several episodes coming out of this episode. There's so much to unpack there. And it really, you know what, let me leave it for the audience to think about before I continue this line of conversation, because we have more that we need to discuss.
All right, and I'm going to jump in here and put a pause in this discussion. What a great part one of this two-part series. We really appreciate Alejandra coming on, sharing a bit about her background and her perspective, talking about that back to the office dilemma, and of course, digging into the realities of modern leadership in our changing world and some of those key concepts that have been developed around that. Alejandra is truly an amazing guest, but great news for you, our audience. This was only part one of this two-part interview series. There's so much more we're going to dive into, so I encourage you, wherever you're listening to this, podcast, YouTube, wherever you are right now, already uploaded. Part two, you can find it right there, and we're going to be getting into the topics related to culture, cultural transformation, culture versus strategy, looking ahead, the future of work, and of course, Alejandra's advice for aspiring leaders. You don't want to miss that. Part two, we'll see you over there.